Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And a very good morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. Once more, it's a wet morning. The subject that we're going to discuss is anything but wet. To begin with, I've been asked this question several times by the viewers, and I'd like to remind you that if you want to send an SMS straight through to the studio with your questions, you're more than welcome. You can do that on 0772 300 305. That's straight here to me. 0772 300 305. Send us your SMSs. And on that note, I'd like to introduce to you our guest this morning. But actually, our guest has got a number of questions for us this morning. It's usually the other way around, isn't it? Needless to say, former ambassador, legal luminary, and no, not Billy Banter, but Mr. Hemanta Wanakul Surya. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Faraz. Good morning.
How are you?
Fine. I have come here with certain trepidation. I have been listening to the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Vikramasinghe, who was a schoolmate of mine, much junior to me, shy boy, he used to run away and hide when I used to walk on the corridors. He has said that Sira sir, and he said Sira has been carrying on a mud-slinging campaign, malicious, defamatory campaign against him about this highway, Central Expressway. No, I was thinking that if that is so, that you also must think twice about appearing before your channel. That you should not defame a person, honourable, clean politician like Ranil Vikramasinghe. And in this, he said in Parliament. What have we got to say about that, Faraz?
Right. I mean, serious, serious matters, Hemanta.
Yeah.
And absolutely all tosh.
Yeah.
Because I want to show you.
Yeah.
I've been doing this job for some time.
Yeah.
And I have never ever started writing a story or presenting a story without the appropriate documentation.
That I know.
And our stories are all fact-based.
Yeah.
The newsroom, we have a culture here. You've got to understand that culture.
Yeah.
The culture here in our newsroom is that you do not talk about any story unless you've got the documentation to prove it.
No, I believe that.
So there is no room in our news floor.
Right.
And this is not only us, Hemant. I'd like to bring to your notice that the media in this country have played an absolute courageous role. This courage is not the sole purview of Team Newsfirst.
Yeah.
This courage is all-encompassing, and it has proven to be endemic. It's catchy. And there are several courageous journalists out there who have risked their careers, their very lives, to report on matters where the public conscience has been aroused.
Yeah. Now, Faraz, I don't agree with you on one statement. That all the media in Sri Lanka has been courageous, has been exposed.
No, not all. I didn't say all.
That's what if you don't speak about the other media, because I know certain instances, many instances where they have falsely planted stories at the instance of politicians. Now, I am asking you, as a responsible journalist, long before you came here, I know that you are a responsible journalist. I loved reading what you write. I loved listening to you. Please tell me what this controversy about the Central Express Highway. The Prime Minister has said, I have personally seen that 25 billion rupees is saved. Is that a crime? He's asking you.
Right. Let me put this in perspective, and I will then prove point by point that the Prime Minister is being rather economical with the truth.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a very polite way of putting it, bearing in mind the time of day that it is. All right? Now then, first of all, there's absolutely nothing wrong in 25 billion being saved. The Prime Minister quite rightly pointed out in Parliament, one must bear this in mind, that the Prime Minister was speaking in Parliament complete with parliamentary privilege.
That's right.
Okay? Whereas we are on the outside, so we are subject to all sorts of other rules. All right, that's fine. It doesn't matter because we speak the truth, so it doesn't bother us. Having said all that, the Prime Minister admitted that it wasn't he who saved the 25 billion, but it was the cabinet-appointed negotiating committee. Absolutely wonderful. Do you know why? For once in a way, the cabinet-appointed negotiating committee, that's their job. They're paid by the Republic to do that job. Their only job is to negotiate with a bidder that has already been evaluated by another committee, the project committee in this case. So, great news. But, the crux of the story, unfortunately, seems to have been missed. The crux of the story is this, that the Prime Minister is using this business about the 25 billion saved. It's saved, shall I tell you how it's been saved?
Yeah.
The bidder, the winning bidder,
who's the winning bidder?
Taisei Corporation. Let's say their name. We don't normally do corporate names, but for the sake of this thing and for the sake of clarity, Taisei Corporation.
That's a Japanese company.
That's a Japanese company. Everything here is Japanese.
Why?
Okay? Well, I'll come to it because otherwise we'll digress.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Now then, the winning bidder was Taisei Corporation.
Yeah.
They had their bid price, their opening bid price.
Yeah.
It was 159 billion rupees. That's their bidding price.
159 billion rupees.
Yes, 159B.
Yeah.
Now, you have to bear in mind that in the field of tenders and so on, there is a kind of a rule that if you are 30% more or less than the engineer's estimate, the engineer's estimate is what we, the government, estimate this to be cost. It's not some figure that's plucked out of the air like the UN did with the 40,000 people who died and so on. It's not picked out. This engineer's estimate is done by engineers, professional people who sit down and they know what they're doing. If you ask Siobhan Daniel to do a costing of how much 10 minutes of airtime will cost you, and whether it's outside broadcast or in-house or whatever, he'll come up with a figure because he's a professional, he knows that. Same way, the engineers prepare an estimate. It is based on that the government, the ministry, the RDA will call for tenders. The estimate here was 124 billion. It was just a little bit, a touch underneath, 123. I've got the exact figure here. Let's say 124. 124 and
154.
159.
59.
134. There's 25 billion. So the final price, the engineer's estimate was 124 billion. The cabinet-appointed negotiating committee negotiated with Taisei and brought down their initial bid from 159 to 134.
So even that's even 10 million?
That's 25 billion.
No, that's also 10 million more than
the engineer's estimate. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. No wonder you're a good lawyer.
Actually, 25, though they have been able to bring down to 25 million, it's more than billion. It's more than 10 billion from the engineer's cost.
Thank you. Taisei's bid, original bid, was 159 billion. It was 29.4% more than the engineer's estimate and perilously close to 30%.
So the engineer's estimate is known to the tenderers or no?
No. That's our figure. That's our figure, Now, Hemanta, let me put this in perspective. This pen, we all know, is probably worth 10 rupees. I don't know. Let's say 10 rupees. Okay. So you go into a shop and the guy says, I like that pen, it's green. How much is it? And he says to you, it's 100 rupees. You say, what? No way. So you negotiate with the guy. So he gives you this pen for 50 rupees, right?
This happens every day in the Pita market.
Yes. So just because you've paid 50 rupees,
That doesn't
and
mean-
then the guy quoted you 100,
Yeah.
have you saved 50 rupees?
No, you have paid 10
You paid 40
more.
rupees more for this pen.
Right, okay.
Same. In the tender game, it's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
The
It's a
engineer's
game.
estimate, it's a game.
Right.
The engineer's estimate says 124. These other guys can say, no, this, that, and the other. I want to let on something else, which the dear Prime Minister didn't mention to you,
Yeah.
or to the rest of the public. Taisei Corporation maintain that they may have to use their own funds
Yeah.
until the loan comes about.
Yeah.
They've been compensated for that. The cabinet-appointed negotiating committee has agreed to give them 1 billion rupees in addition to whatever they've written down. That is to compensate them for using their own funds. It's in the minutes of the meeting and with the cabinet-appointed negotiating committee.
So the government is handing out
Another
1
1 billion.
billion
Yeah.
over and above the estimate or
That's how it
tender amount.
appears. That's how it appears, sir.
Right.
Because they mention it
Startling.
separately.
Startling.
Well, it's startling, and it's... Now then, so now I've explained to you...
Yes, yes.
By the way, I should have said this at the beginning.
But at the
But
same
Hemant,
time,
I
they
want to
ask-
tell you this.
Yeah.
Our group is probably one of the largest privately held groups in this country. It's fine. I want to tell you that I have checked before we put this story out. This group has got absolutely no involvement with this project. We are not supplying anything. We have not participated in any bid. We are not subcontracting. We are not doing nothing.
Right.
So we are divested from this project.
So you're completely independent.
Yes, but if one
you
of
have
our
no hand in this
Yeah, but
entire-
if somebody goes down to the market and
Yeah.
buys some of our products
Yeah.
and supplies it to this project,
Yeah.
well, we're
Yeah.
the market leaders in,
Yeah, yeah.
in some of these things that we do.
Yeah.
So, that doesn't come into play.
Yeah.
Okay. Now then, we've got some messages.
Yeah,
So-
no, I want to ask you for us.
Yeah.
Now, if Taisei did not agree to reduce 25 billion, then this contract could not have been awarded to anyone because there were no bidders.
Yes. Now let's examine the history of this
Yeah.
thing. What the Prime Minister is trying to do,
Yeah.
and he's not going to let him get. He's not going to get away with it, because the media in this country, not just us, right? There are.
I saw
media.
another banner headlines in the Sun, the most respectable.
Yes, in the Sunday
paper,
Times.
Sunday Times. Yeah,
Yes,
I was a
exactly.
columnist. I saw in the front page the same thing what you have said.
Yes,
In
and
Sunday
in fact
Times.
it was the Sunday Times who broke the story sometime, started writing about it in January,
It is right.
last January. However, what the Prime Minister is doing, and this is what is not known, and we will expose that and help the people understand, just like we help the people understand about the bond scam.
Just like
Is
the
this-
people just like the people who understood about Maitripala Sirisena and Mahinda Rajapaksa,
Absolutely.
and got Mahinda Rajapaksa defeated.
Correct.
You started the
Well,
wave.
thank you. But let
Sri
me
Lankan spring was started by Sirasa.
the 25 billion
Yes.
saving is being used by the Prime Minister to defend his Minister of Highways, that chap, what's his name, Kirialla, right?
My good friend.
Well, I'm sorry, but he's
also a royalist.
Well, he may be a royalist, but he's an absolute disgrace to being a cabinet minister. And I'll tell you why. The Prime Minister is using this 25 billion saving and trying to say that the other thing, he doesn't say it directly, he sort of infers that it's us. Anyway, he's using the 25 billion saving to mask the real fraud here.
What is the fraud?
The real fraud is that there is another company that was disqualified because they lacked the experience and they lacked the financial records to prove their financial standing. And it's a company called, again, I'm sorry that we normally don't use names of corporates, but today I'm going to do that. Fujita Corporation was another bidder. There were only 2 responsive bids.
From
Fujita Corporation, Mr. Varnakula Surya, were disqualified by the project committee for a lack of experience. If we play slide G for golf, then it'll come up on the screen now, and these are the points that they failed on. They lacked key experience, they lacked the financial records to prove their financial standing, and they didn't have a contract, that they hadn't done a contract of a similar size in the last 5 years.
Oh, I see.
They had
so it's mandatory that whoever bids must have similar experience within the last 5 years to have completed a project successfully.
The Prime Minister says that this is a very complicated terrain.
Yeah.
There are mountains and there are hills and there are all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So then, are you going to give it to some outfit that doesn't have the necessary experience?
So I mean, we must thank the project committee or evaluation committee.
Of course, why not?
They have honestly.
They consist of top professionors, absolute top professionals.
Who are those people?
I will get their names out to you in a second.
You know, I believe for us, they are national heroes, people who have sat and decided without any compunction from any pressure from anyone, independently, how they should evaluate the tenders.
Project committee.
Yeah.
Mr. W.K. Kodituaku, chairman.
Yeah.
Mr. G.D. Janadasa, Mr. Prema Tilaka, Mr. Nugapitia, Mr. Priyashanta, Miss A.K.M.P. Silva, and Mr. Atu Ko.
You know, for us, in the media, as much as we criticize politicians, we must also applaud and cheer that there are Sri Lankans who are so honorable, who saw that Fujitsu company is not suitable.
They are not suitable. So now let me tell you the fraud.
Fraud.
Now, Taisei was the company that the project committee evaluated.
Why only 2 companies?
Well, there were 4. 2 didn't have the experience. That's another story. Again, there's a bit of question mark. Why they only asked for the Japanese embassy to nominate some names?
Why have they?
Well, I don't know.
No, why didn't they advertise in the local papers?
This is a limited international.
No, but what I'm trying to say, even in the local papers or in the Japanese paper, they must advertise and say that there is a contract, huge contract, right? And that they could bid.
Yes, they could have asked the overseas construction.
By Japanese company?
They could have asked the Overseas Construction Association of Japan. They've got 50 members of the leading Japanese construction companies and 43 associate members, making it at 93.
What was the Japanese ambassador doing in Japan? Well, who is he? Mr. Karuna, Mr. Somebody, no?
We don't know what he was doing. They didn't involve him.
No, but the problem is that if the Japanese government, they should have advertised in the papers, they should have contacted.
Now,
why did you do that?
I need to tell you, the problem here is that they are trying to, and this is the fraud. We're not talking about the 25 billion. It's a saving done by the cabinet approved negotiating committee. That's their job, well done. However, the Prime Minister is trying to mask this fraud. The fraud is that never before in the annals of this country's bidding processes has a failed and disqualified bidder being forced into marriage by the Minister of Highways. And it is the
marriage? What do you mean?
They are being asked, the winning bidder Taisei is being asked to form a consortium with the failed bidder Fujita.
Who has asked that?
The cabinet, the CCEM.
No, but I'm asking you, why should, has the Taisei refused to carry out this contract? What you are trying to tell me, the Taisei was given 1 billion rupees in advance until the money project comes. The project is urgent.
It is a violation of the procurement.
So then why is the Taisei, if I am the bidder, if I don't want any other person, surely whatever the other corporation, Fujita, is a rival corporation. Why should I marry him and I get into contract with
Precisely.
him?
If we play D for Delta, slide D for Delta. This is a meeting that took place after Taisei Corporation was...
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Minister of Highways, contrary to proper procedure, had a meeting with the two companies that bid, Taisei and Fujita. At this meeting was present only the Minister and his advisor, Mr. Chaminda de Silva, and the representatives from the two companies, from Taisei and Fujita. To begin with, there is no provision for the Minister to start negotiating with bidders. Because that is why the Cabinet has a Cabinet-appointed negotiating committee. Right? The Ministry's Secretary was significantly absent from this meeting. He shouldn't have been there anyway. The meeting shouldn't have been held. But if I may borrow that from you, this is what Mr. Ogata...
Who, Mr. Ogata?
First of all, let's talk to Mr. Ishida. Mr. Ishida apologized for the absence of the director of Fujita. So Mr. Ishida is from Fujita. Because this meeting had been called at short notice, the director couldn't come down from Japan. Mr. Ishida, that means Fujita's representative, stated that the information to form a consortium by the Honourable Minister makes Fujita confused, since Fujita was rejected by the Cabinet-appointed negotiating committee as being non-responsive. Mr. Ishida said that Fujita was confused.
I'm asking you now.
Hold on a minute.
Yes.
Now, let's go to the representative of Taisei. Mr. Ogata from Taisei expressed appreciation for inviting of the meeting and stated that this is the first time to meet Fujita, who is their competitor in the bidding of this project. Mr. Ogata, remember he is from Fujita, from Taisei. Mr. Ogata from Taisei, the winning bidder, also expressed deep concerns about the violation of bidding procedure and rules of the country.
Are you reading this?
I am reading something that, and just to be sure, when Fujita wrote this letter to the minister, they told him that they are going to prepare the minutes of meeting so that there will be no confusion. And in his letter he says, enclosure, Annex 1, the minutes of meeting held on the 29th of June 2017. Now then, Taisei, the winning bidder, is deeply concerned about the violation of bidding procedure and rules of the country.
So the winning bidder...
The Fujita Corporation says that they are confused because Fujita was rejected by the CNC.
So what you are trying to say for us, the two bidders, Fujita and Taisei, the evaluation committee rejected the bid of Fujita, saying that they are not competent enough. They don't have the track record to accept a tender of this scale, and they were rejected. So now, for no reason, even Fujita has expressed surprise when he was invited, when they were invited to form a consortium.
Why should they form a consortium? For what? The question is this: we have got a winning bidder. We are comfortable with their prices. We are comfortable with their work experience, and so on. And the minister is holding up the letter of award because he's trying to force them to do business with the failed and disqualified Japanese bidder Fujita. And Mr. Wanakulusuri, let me tell you this, that at the cabinet memo recommending the award, Mr. Lakshman Kiriyalla, your friend, is saying, as the Minister of Highways, he's saying that this is because of the strong recommendation of the government of Japan. There is no such thing. It's all absolute rubbish. It was an advisor to the Japanese government with the rank of, with a high diplomatic rank, who's a consultant. He writes he writes a letter to Mr. Kirialla recommending Fujita, in his opinion, that Fujita is a good company and that the Japanese government will be appreciative if they had a look at them too. However,
this information leaked out to the Japanese newspapers, they may have resigned.
However, let me tell you this. Now, that's a letter that Mr. Kirialla and the Prime Minister says that the Japanese government wanted this. Nonsense.
No Japanese government.
Nonsense. Let me read out to you the letter, a copy of this letter, which is display number A. It's a letter from Mr. Kenichi Suganuma, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Japan to the Republic of Sri Lanka.
Right.
June 5th, 2017. He's writing to Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Prime Minister. He says, Honorable Prime Minister, as per Honorable Prime Minister's request at the Cabinet Committee for Economic Management held on the 24th of May, concerning the tender result for the third section of the Central Highway and upon official instruction from Tokyo, I have the honor to submit the reaction of the government of Japan on this issue as follows. The government of Japan fully respects the Sri Lankan rules and procedures for tenders carried out by the government of Sri Lanka, including for the third section of the Central Highway. And the Japanese government is in no position to raise objections to the results of a lawful tender procedure. Signed off by the Ambassador of Japan in Sri Lanka. And he copies this thing to Mr. Bhaskara Lingam, that senior advisor to the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Now, this letter proves that the Japanese government are not in the business of interfering with the legal tender processes of a sovereign nation.
It's shocking.
It's absolutely shocking. And
I know. I have all the documents are authentic. No, you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. We need a presidential commission. Let me remind you, Mr. Wanakula Surya, when on the 8th of March in 2015, when we reported, there was a story in the Sunday Times, very courageous person who wrote that story about the potential breach of procedure and departure from process at the central bank when perpetual treasuries, one company had been apparently favored. We started our reporting, Newsfirst started on the 8th of March 2015. And along with our partners in journalism, the Sunday Times, the Island and several others, when we brought this out and started making a noise, the Prime Minister made a statement on the 15th or the 17th of March of 2015.
I heard that.
Yes. About the bond.
Yes.
Today, Mr. Wanakula Surya, you, me, and 20-odd million people out there know the result of the bond.
So Prime Minister...
The Prime Minister told us that there was nothing wrong.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister told us that he ordered the change of the system. The Auditor General says that is the change of that system, the departure of that system was not the least cost method of awarding bonds. This man is the man in charge of the country's finances. And then what do? Ravi Karunanayake and minister after minister tries to knock the integrity and the professionalism of the Auditor General, Mr. Gamini Vijayasinghe.
I want to ask you now, I heard the Prime Minister making a statement like today, like few days ago in Parliament, and defending Arjuna Mahendran. Now, isn't that not quite true? No?
Mr. Wickremesinghe has compromised himself terribly. There was absolutely no need for Mr. Wickremesinghe to defend Arjuna Mahendran without being in possession of the full facts. And that's the problem we are having today. Today we have a situation that even lawyers are resigning from representing clients at the commission.
One of my very good friends, Nihal Fernando, one of the lawyers.
So let me wrap up. Thank you for coming and asking me these questions. The 25 billion is a saving, but it is also a mask that the Prime Minister and Mr. Kirialla is using to try to mask the fact that they are trying to bring in a failed bidder.
Are you a Thomian?
I'm a Thomian and
That's
very
why.
proud
That's
to
why
be-
you're attacking the two royalists.
No, don't, it is, you cannot be as flippant as this because 25 billion is a lot of money.
Lot of money. Yeah.
Why should we hand over the construction of a difficult job, a difficult terrain,
Yeah.
to a company that lacks the experience?
And also
Why?
not
Is
recommended by.
somebody-
No,
shall we ask the
also
question?
not recommended by the Japanese government.
Is somebody wanting $30 million or 5 billion rupees or 2 billion or 3 billion or 1 billion rupees
Yeah.
as a bribe? Is that why? We don't know.
Yeah.
But the media in this country are pretty robust now.
So you want the Prime President to appoint a presidential commission to
I
probe
would
into
urge His Excellency the President to have another presidential commission because,
I say aye to that.
well, there you go. And I hope that the President will listen to this thing.
Yeah.
And we absolutely need another presidential commission
Yeah.
because this business of good governance being carried out by a bunch of rogues has got to stop. On that note, Hematawana Kulasiri, thank you very much. Control room wants it all back. So, thank you.
Thank you, Farhad.
And that's about it from Newsline. Take care. God bless.